Let us understand lean concepts with the example of a process where we get a query and the process is entrusted to resolve the customer query. And a simple process where query is received, validated whether we have all the information. If not, then we raise back to the customer. If we have all the information, we process and we close the ticket. You need an account statement, you write to the bank and say, I need an account statement. They look at, okay, they have the customer ID and the period. The process means pull up the statement and send it to you, and then they close the ticket in their CRM system. If in validation they find that the information like you have multiple account, which account you need the statement, or which period you need the statement, what type of a statement you require, then they write back to you, they query you that please share details. And based on the details that you share, sometimes they have to follow up with you to get those details so that they can service you and close. Like this is the process. Lean we discussed is about the process analysis, and the first step is value analysis. Within Lean, that means identify activities which are adding value. So which activities from these do you think add value? Can you mark those activities as VA or NVA? VA stands for value added, NVA is non-value added. Understand? You mean most of these, right? Because every activity is important and process will stop. Agree? This is what I hear. So let me share a thumb rule which will help you identify a value-added activity or non-value-added activity. The first thumb rule is activity which transform input towards the output is a value-added activity. And the second thumb rule is if the activity falls into the 8 category of waste, either of 8 category of waste, then it is a non-value added activity. Now there are 2 thumb rule that you can use. Now let's use that thumb rule for each activity. The first is receive and assign ticket to the executive to work on. Now you have written to the bank that I need a statement, and at the bank somebody has seen that, okay, you need a statement, and they assigned it to, let's say, Rajesh. Or Rajesh, can you please look at this query? Or the system has auto assigned it to Rajesh. Now in this process, have your statement been pulled or anything that has transformed in your query? Your query is, I need a statement, right? Whether the statement has been generated, created, or anything done in that respect? Answer is no. So the input has still not been transformed. It is the input is passed from one desk to another desk, but it is not transformed towards an output. So is it a value-added activity? Answer is no. When I'm validating, is the input getting transformed? No, input still remains same. When I'm querying or following up, input still remains same. But when I'm processing or investigating, right, what I'm doing, I'm actually generating the statement. So the input is getting transformed. And then then the bank is sending the statement to you, so your requirement is getting fulfilled. So the value added. Then the bank closed the ticket into their system. Now anything is transformed? No, it's their internal record. So the only value-added activity in the entire process is processing or investigating. And the other activities are a non-value-added activity. This does not mean that we stop doing other activities. This only means that the core activity of a process is processing or investigation. Rest of the activity we need to challenge well so that we can reduce or eliminate them. There are various methodologies which are available which help us challenge this. Like SCAP is one methodology where we challenge each activity and say, can we eliminate, simplify, combine, automate, or do it in parallel? There are various methodology when we draw the value stream map, and then when we look at with the time volume pattern, right, we look at the split, we slice the data and slice the process activity, process actions that we have taken, and then look it from with various consideration of lean, and we find a solution to that. But the first step is an ability to find what is a value added and non-value added activity. And we found there is only 20% of a value added activity and 80% is waste. And this is precisely that we see in thousands of processes that we have studied. This only means that processes can do much better than what they are doing today. There's a huge potential that is available for the process to perform. But the starting point is how objectively we are able to find out the non-value added activities. And that marks the beginning of lean. This also addresses why a 10-minute of an activity is seen by customer or received by customer in days. Precisely, an account opening is done in 10 minutes. But 4 days of a turnaround time, invoice processing. A most complex query can be investigated and resolved in 15 minutes, unless until there's a policy decision and a handshake. But we struggle to meet the deadline of 4 hours. The only reason is the value analysis. So there are 8 types of waste which precisely address this. And Tim Wood is the jargon which help us recall these type of waste well. T stands for transport, which is precisely the movement of work, goods, service from one place to another. Like a query is received and we've assigned the query from one mailbox to another mailbox. It's a transport. We're transporting that query or a ticket. Goods are received, a raw material is received, right? We are moving that from one yard to another yard. The grains are received to make a grinding wheel, right? We first take it to yard, then we bring it to the production area, then we bring it near to the machine. Just all this movement, the grain is remaining the same. The grain are not getting transformed into the wheel by doing all these movements. So we need to look at how well we can contain or reduce the movement of the material. Inventory that we carry. And because we are carrying an inventory, the cost is blocked. Sometimes the inventory get waste. The material get expired. One of the biggest component of a cost for an organization is an inventory that we carry. Can be raw material, in process, or finished goods. Movement of people from one office to another office, or within a floor to pick up a fax or a printout, or for a meeting or a cafeteria to another floor. It's not adding any value. Waiting for instruction, waiting for material doesn't add any value. There are a lot of resources that get wasted. Over processing, doing more than required, like checking a transaction 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Yes, control desired that, but we need to look at how can we do it first time right. Any that we talk about, right? Rework. It's over processing because we did not do it first time right. So we are again processing it. Overproduction, producing more than required. Like a lot of MIS get produced in the service industry. In manufacturing, make wheels more than what is required. So one side it adds to the inventory. Second side, the produced wheel can get defects, because then you need to handle the goods that you have made, and the customer is not needing it now. So you're keeping it for a period, and then you're handling that material, producing more than what is required. There's a high probability. But one side is a cost which is blocked, but the second side of it is even the goods get damaged. Defects, rework. And most critical is the underutilization of skill or intellect for people, because if you do not utilize the skill or the intellect of the people, then they look at an alternate place where their skills can be utilized. 8 types of waste, I think, a yardstick which opens up a lot of opportunity. If after mapping a process, if we identify what's a value added, non-value added, and map that what are the kinds of waste and how much resources is being utilized or getting wasted in these categories, it shows up the opportunity for optimization. The second thing is to look at the lean principles. There are 5 lean principles which guide the process optimization. The first is the value. That means we should be able to differentiate between what is adding value and what is not adding value. The second is the value stream, in terms of how does the value added activities interact with each other in the flow that we have seen, that what are the loops and how does one process step interact with another process step. We find that most of the waste lies between the process steps. Value stream. There are 2 types of flow: continuous and a discrete flow. A continuous is a single piece flow. When the inventories are reduced, the turnaround times are reduced, and customers get their goods faster. And there's a flexibility that is built into the manufacturing process or service process to be able to do a faster changeover or provide customer with what they need and on time. Continuous. So discrete, sometime when the volumes are low, the batch flows need to be done discrete manufacturing, where you have a separate ovens if you're talking about a grinding wheel, or if there are time-based deliveries, sometimes you need to use a discrete. But the continuous flow is which help optimize your cost and the time that it takes for a delivery. The process construct should be such that the customer should be able to pull value. The customer should be able to tell that what do they need faster. If there are 5 varieties that the customer have ordered, one way of producing is first in, first out, but the process need to have a flexibility. If a customer raise a request and say that the third order, if he wanted to be processed early, the process should be able to accommodate. The customer should be able to control the process, and that's what the pull stands for. Like in terms of a data, in terms of a service, if we look at, if we are able to extract the insights from the data the way we want, rather than a standard reports, that is always going to be more valuable. And with today BI engines and the reporting capabilities that's being built, I think there's a lot of flexibility in terms of fulfilling the data or an insight demand. So pull, as a customer, you are able to pull what you need. And perfection stands for defect-free delivery. Having decided on the process, how do we execute it seamlessly without the defects in the way customer need it. And I think these are 5 lean principles, and hope this help you understand the lien.